I'm coming to you from my favorite time of day here, twilight. I'm watching the bats fly around the front yard as they come out of their little things. Oh, and let me turn this down a bit. If you don't know who I am, I'm Suzanne Kamara. I used to write a column for Pathos called No Longer Quivering. Okay. That that website had to do with evangelical quiverful movement, and all the bats are distracting me. Maybe this isn't such a good thing. I love watching them. Um, hey Christine, yeah, I'm here. It's evening. I'm pissed off, so you're gonna get some ranting. And it was a good day. It was a good day, as good of a day as you could get. Right up until the time that I laid down to rub my husband's eyes and take a nap, and I started getting questions from people I knew, a lot from people I did not know. Thank you. Been out in the sun today. Yeah, I went. No, I did a beach walk. I try to do that 2 or 3 times a week. It doesn't always work out that way. Hey, Share Bear, thank you so much. So these are just my opinions. Don't bully Katie Joy Paulson. Don't even be rude to her. Don't even show up. I got so many questions about her today. Starting when I first got up, and I was in a pretty good mood about it. I don't know about you guys, but I've really struggled with my mental health since, I guess, late November, because I've been through a lot of stuff. My husband had to have emergency surgery. His gallbladder was rupturing, and it didn't go super well. He had issues afterwards. He's having all kinds of health issues right now. And then I had to deal with the mess in Louisiana with my mother. So all of that combined kind of whacked me in the head. So, and completely upend all of my plans for this year. Hey, Kentucky girl. So there was that. All of these questions had to do with my relationship with Katie Joy Paulson. And while I didn't mind talking to the one person I know, and I know them well through No Longer Quivering, the column I wrote for over 10 years, I knew them pretty well from there. But I was really surprised when she started telling me that she's an avid, hey, autistic, she's an avid Katie Joy Paulson viewer. I was kind of shocked by that. I'm not going to lie. And I just started going off of my auto rant about everything wrong with Katie Joy Paulson. I talked about what she did to Steve. It wasn't right. Um, she did all the stuff she did to me, stuff she did to a bunch of other people. And told my friend asked me about what happened with Backwoods Barbie and Amy Duggar King, and I had to explain how that was laid out at the feet of Katie Joy Paulson too. So it was quite the entertaining day. Bear, he's going to be fine. He's just thrown out his back and he's got knee problems now. So we're hauling him back and forth to the orthos a lot. And they're trying to figure out what to do with him. You don't get to 71 years old without having a few bumps and bruises. The other day, I was sitting here thinking about being that old myself, well, 62, and was thinking about this because I have an aunt that's exactly the same age as my husband. She has the same kind of nutty asthma, mast cell thingy I got going on. She's made it to 71. I made it to 62 so far. God willing, 63. But in our family, until her, every generation, there were 2 or 3 of us really bad asthmatics. They all died before they were 35. I consider my aunt and I the products of good medical care and better products, better drugs, all of that. So I should really be grateful. Back to the whole situation, though. So I had to explain about how Backwoods Barbie had been mocked pretty soundly by Amy Duggar King, and that Katie Joy had recorded it and played it back, and it turned into a firestorm for Amy Duggar King, who had to apologize, who claimed it was not about Backwoods Barbie at all, that it was about redneck women in general. I don't buy that. I think it was about Backwoods Barbie. I think that both of them were mocking her. And then Katie Joy set her best friend up for a fall, because that is what she does. That is exactly what she does every single time. That's what she did to me, so many other people. And I wasn't even best friend ever. She might have thought I was, but I was not. So one of the questions that I've gotten a lot lately is, did Katie Joy write for No Longer Quivering? No, absolutely not. She did not write for No Longer Quivering. She wrote Empathio, same as I did, but she wrote for her own blog, and it was called Without a Crystal Ball. The same thing it has been called all along, the same thing that her YouTube channel is called. That is how she's branded. That's her branding thing. So she didn't write for me. We had conversations. The New Jersey Java man, that is actually genius. We have to come up with a really disgusting drink. I was thinking something like the iceberg, something that is isolated and cold, or maybe the basement dweller. New Jersey Turnpike would be good too. So there you go. There's all kinds of weird things we could come up with for her. But she set Amy up. Amy had to disavow her and unfriend her in a hurry. Hey, chronically bee queen. Yeah, I've been busy. I've been busy goofing off. That is the name that bartenders in New York give to alcohol that is squeezed out of. Oh, I did not know that, Java man. Oh my goodness. Um, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. I just finished reading a fascinating book, speaking of alcohol, about Charity Hospital in New Orleans, what happened during Hurricane Katrina. Now, everybody has read about Memorial Hospital there and what went down and how they were actually euthanizing patients. Charity was just the opposite. The doctors, the nurses, everyone went above and beyond. The patients were taking care of each other. They were feeding each other, holding each other's hands. And the book begins with talking about drinking in New Orleans. And I was reading all that and just laughing, thinking about Michelle Sabate, however you want to pronounce her name. And it kind of made sense because it talked about the culture of drinking in New Orleans. And there's a lot of truth to that. Though I am pretty much the teetotaler, it would need more toad. Oh, gosh. It would need toad. Yeah, it would definitely need toad. So and I was asking this person, why on earth would you ever think that I would let Katie Joy, who was not quiverful in any way, shape, or form, write for us? And she couldn't really come up with a good explanation, which tells me somebody has said something that makes it seem she's written for No Longer Quivering. We talked about getting together on different projects before, but mostly when we were talking, it was stuff like one time she showed up, was moaning and crying and carrying on because everybody was telling her about her typos. Everybody was telling her about her typos. Guilt by association. Ugh. Everybody was getting on to her about her typos, and she was upset with them for that, saying, well, of course you have uh, Share Bear. Jersey. I'm not knocking Jersey. My new son-in-law is from Jersey in upstate New York. I mean, he lived all over the place there. So the conversation was all about her typos and how people just needed to get over it, get over it, get over it. All writers make typos. Yes, they do. But yeah, I thought that was kind of weird because at Pathio, sometimes our editor would get on to us if there were too many typos. And Lord knows I made a ton of them, but I didn't see some of them until now. I'm moving all of my content that's worth a damn. Not the daily quoting quiverful, but some of the things I've written about, like Carol Ann Cole's murder. I'm moving that stuff to my new website with strangefire.com that I set up because of my book coming out shortly. And discovering that I make typos and everybody else does. Yes, Java Man, I cannot tell you how many Kindle books I've read where there's been glaring huge typos. I found a couple in Ginger Duggar's book. Ginger Duggar's book becoming free, there were a couple of glaring typos, and I was just like, really? Who edited your book? A bunch of monkeys? I'm about to say something nasty about homeschooling, but no, I'm not going to. Uh, so obviously she didn't have anyone worth a damn editing her book, because if she did, there wouldn't have been any kind of typos. Probably. Her family, yeah. I think so. She didn't have James Eagle Eye Titkemeyer editing it. My husband used to edit for the Bureau of Labor Statistics for their main publication. Um, what was the name of that thing? Why am I not? It's the oldest publication by the federal government. It's the Labor Statistics magazine. They were putting out every month or so. I can't even think of the name of it now. That's how sad I've gotten with memory. But he Monthly Labor Review. I knew I would think of it eventually. He edited that. He was one of the editors, and he would catch all kinds of typos. It was kind of funny, to the point that when he retired, they brought this huge sheet cake that said Eagle Eye, and it had a picture of an eagle on it. I kind of laughed and wondered how they're doing now. But anyway, so she was complaining about her typos being a thing with her readers, and I was kind of like, and it was just general stuff like that. It really was. And there was a lot of just shooting the breeze going on. I know her grammar needs work. And I think also at the time she was churning out several lengthy articles a day. And I was really shocked by that, because it is quite the task to write every day. And I know about that because of my 10 years there. There are times you're going to turn out good stuff. There's times it's going to be like making sausage. It's just going to be, the thing is going to be what the thing is. And that's not to put down people who write every day, not at all, because there are people that do that. Just wait until her book is published. I can't wait. I can't wait until her book is published. I cannot wait. And I'm glad that I've delayed on mine, because I have 2 or 3 new tales to add, crazy new tales that I'm seeing go down in my old church, among the members of my old church, and some with my husband's new church that fit right in. I'm kind of like, what? So I don't know, what is her book supposed to be about? Does anybody have a clue? Has she mentioned this? Because that would certainly give me some. I'm going to close the windows. It's dark here now. When the night falls, it falls quick here in Costa Rica. And we have about 12 hours of darkness, 12 hours of light. Christine, I don't know if she plagiarized her Pathos articles, but here's what I do know. What she was writing about after a while, because she started out writing about her son, the care of her son, care and feeding of the son, without God. Okay. That was her topic. And then she moved on to all kinds of different crazy things, including a whole lot of mom bashing. And she was rewriting articles she was finding wherever about various and sundry mothers. And sometimes that's what you end up doing, particularly if you're writing about something like what I was writing about Nicole Nogler and her family in Kentucky. You're not there firsthand. So you're reading all the news accounts and you're making notes and you're writing these things up and you're trying not to plagiarize at all. You're trying to come up with a unique bend on it. And sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not. Sometimes a unique bend will get you in trouble. I was going to say, every writer should have a pile of these notebooks. Why? Because if there's ever any question and you get sued by, say Robert Shin, if you have been thoroughly researching and writing down where you're getting your info, you're covered. Copy from 1 is plagiarism. Copy from 2 is research. Jonathan, man, I don't think you should be copy and direct anything. That's just my opinion on that. I think anything that you take from somebody else's, unless you're quoting the person, you're quoting them and you're saying, so and so said this. That's the only time I can see that. But so many people out there exactly plagiarizing. I've seen articles that are plagiarized. When I was writing for Pathos, there were a couple of places that would just steal my articles and repost them 100% without giving me credit, without linking to the blog. So there were a couple times that the Pathos lawyers had to get on to various outlets for that. KJ hates it when you quote her words directly. Yes, she does. She hates it. I wish I had saved all of my conversations with her so that I could show you guys. I mean, towards the end, I think I got the last conversation. I did screen caps. I posted those suckers everywhere because they put to lie some of the things she said. But the other thing that I got asked about a lot in the last 24 hours is who is her Duggar source? Everybody wants to know that. They want to know which Duggar is she talking to directly. And I had to say, I don't think she's talking to any. The NSA, yeah, Java man, they're really going to do that. It wasn't even email. We were back and forth on Messenger. And as soon as she saw I was copying the Messenger messages, she dumped the entire years and years, couple of years worth. Oh, Christine, no, I have not been following the Murdaugh trial. That's pretty awful. I just haven't had time. There's just not enough hours in the day to do everything that you're supposed to be doing, apparently. So I haven't been covering that at all. And I'm not super surprised. But here's what's funny about her erasing all of our conversations. Her lawyer sent me that wonderful preserve the evidence email saying, "You're now ordered to preserve evidence of your conversations with Katie Joy." And I was like, you better talk to your client. She erased all of those. I don't have them. So there was that. And so I said, I don't think she has any direct Duggar family people she's talking to. I'm sure lawyers plagiarize all the time with each other. I'm sure, just from what I've read. I mean, who wants to write about legalese when you just copy and paste that crap? I could kind of sort of see that more, like using a form letter. I could see that. So she was making a claim recently that she had a contact who was a Duggar son. I doubt that. I doubt that that was true. I know when I knew her, her only Duggar sources were the same ones I had, which was people who contact you out of the blue and say, "Hey, I'm living in Tontitown or Springdale, Arkansas, and I know the Duggars and blah blah blah." Going back to that notebook, if I could not confirm what the person was saying, I never once used it at No Longer Quivering. Why? Because if you don't confirm your info, you can get sued. I moderate for a friend who covers the live trial. She only talks during breaks, but she does comment in the live chat. Yeah. So I don't think she has anybody. I remember back when the Homeland Security raid took place, her and I were talking that day in Messenger after months of not talking. And we were sharing with each other each thing we've gotten. Oh, Java man, that's what I was thinking. So we were sharing with each other, each one of us, what we had gotten. And she directly used some of the stuff I was telling her in a video. So I used something she told me in her piece of writing, and she got, very highly offended. She was super pissed off. And who is messaging me out of the blue? So she got very highly offended and insisted I take down anything she'd given me. So then I fed her a fake piece of Duggar news to see if she'd use it, and she did. So it was like, nope. So she used to talk to Amy Duggar until the Backwoods Barbie debacle all went down. And she shared you know, Amy Duggar King mocking backwoods Barbie. Speak of the devil. Is it KJ? No, she's blocked left and right, but it is somebody I know from No Longer Quivering. Um, so these things are just the sort of thing that pisses me off when somebody says, "Oh, well, you were letting her write for you," or "She has all these Duggar contacts." I'm like, one of the things she was claiming one of the sons, possibly two, were gay, and she gave names and everything. You know where she got that from? She got that directly from me because I had unnamed Duggar insiders who were contacting me and saying, "Hey, so and so's gay." And it was like, "Okay, thank you." And I had met the Duggars at one of their book signings, me about the Duggars quite a bit, and said, "Hey, don't share this, but this is the rumor that's going around." Are you I'm buffering again. Okay. Am I buffering? For oh gosh. Oh, it's on my back. I was getting ready to ditch. Okay. You never know here in Costa Rica because I'm now on fiber optic. Before I was on some kind of copper wire. And supposedly it's better. And we're in the high season where everybody and their brother is logged on to the internet and they're pulling enormous bandwidth. We're early enough where we should not be hitting the guys that do the Bitcoin mining. There's a big Bitcoin mining place very near here. And after 10 o'clock, I can't even shower because if I shower with my on demand hot water heater, guess what happens? It trips the breakers. Prawn. It might be prawn, but I know for a fact that there is a Bitcoin mining operation near here. And there are several in Costa Rica that I know of, and we've got one here. But yeah, so whoever, various people were asking me all these questions about her and and apparently she must have said something to somebody about how we were interleaked in those days until I stabbed her in the back. Um, Caleb, my son-in-law wrote a book about Bitcoin. Oh, I forgot how long ago, but it was quite a ways ago, and he explained it to me then, and it was pretty interesting, but not interesting enough for me to ever invest it. But I wish I had because I could have bought in when the coins were $200 each, and they went to an all-time high of about 60,000 each. I think it was at the top. But there's been a lot of volatility. But basically, you're buying online money that doesn't actually exist. So there's that. So it's a strange new world. So who knows what's going to happen with that? Um, so one of my friends earlier posted a meme about a place that she wants to go to a place. She wants to find her idea of heaven is finding a place where everybody understands you without misunderstanding anything you're saying. And I kind of agree with her there because I know what that's like. It is horrible for the environment. Yeah. I would, I know what that's like. I frequently feel misunderstood. And this whole thing with KJ always makes me feel misunderstood because, like I said, I worked with her. I was a work pal, not somebody that you would call your bestie. At least that was in my eyes, is what it was. So when these things pop up and people are saying, "Oh, you did this, you did that, you did that," and then I got to write another long page of frequently asked questions about KJ that I get, and I'm always steamed and like, I don't want to talk about this dumbass woman. It sounds appealing because it would be the epitome of peace. Yeah, I think so, but it's rare. I don't know about you. So I've finally gotten to where I'm actually kind of okay with not being understood, unless it's something to do with the writing and this stuff. Then I get mad. I get real mad. And this has been one of those crazy weeks here. Tamarindo is a beautiful place. The beaches are beautiful. I spent the morning on Playa Grande, which is close to the house. I absolutely love it. It is one of the most beautiful places. There's only two problems we had this week. Okay, Costa Rica is a country that has almost no guns. Okay, you have to have a lot of money. You have to apply for a permit to have a gun, and it's not like in the States where you apply for an open carry permit and it's like stamped and done. Here, you have to prove you're not insane, a whole bunch of crazy things to get your gun, and then pay a lot of money and show you're trained. It's not an easy process, and I've seen a lot of Americans show up with their entire weapon arsenal and their household goods and get seized. They seize them. The government does. If you haven't jumped through the steps that I'm outlining to get a gun, then they will take your guns. So, oh, I'm doing well. I wanted to wish you a happy birthday. I know it's upcoming. I know you're getting ready to have a birthday. Oh, I'm doing okay. So, except I'm a little shook up. I was just getting ready to talk about that. Valentine's Day night, we went lunch, not night, to a restaurant called El Chiringuito, and it's in Tamarindo. It's a beautiful place. It's Sunday. Okay, I knew it was coming up, but I was trying to, what day was that again? So we went to El Chiringuitos and had Valentine's Day lunch. I had tacos. I had fish tacos, and I love that, and ceviche and all sorts of yummy things. It's a nice place. It's rather expensive, so we don't go there very often because it is kind of high. It's my daughter's favorite place on the beach. 2 days after we were there was a drive-by shooting that killed two people in the restaurant. They just came in and gunned the place up, and I was really shocked because there are so many places in Tamarindo I can see that happening at. There's one restaurant I will not eat at anymore because you'll be sitting there eating, and they'll be leaning over the fence to shout at you in the restaurant, "Cocaine, chicas," trying to get you to buy a hooker or cocaine. And you're sitting there eating your ceviche and you have your mojito in your other hand, and they're shrieking about hookers and blow at you. So I don't go to those places anymore where the druggies hang out. So for them to be a drug turf war at El Chiringuito is pretty awful. So there's that. And we were like, because gun violence does not happen here. The last incident I can think of gun violence was about a year ago. Somebody shooting off a gun at the beach in celebration. And before that, it was maybe 4 years ago, 3.5, when armed guys showed up and shot up our bank. It's few and far between. It doesn't happen, is what I'm trying to say. And so that happened, and I was kind of shook up. I was like, oh my goodness, this is one of my favorite restaurants. Drug turf war is getting crazier. And then on Sunday, there was a shooting at Wilmart, and I saw the video on that one and heard the pop, pop, pop. So it was like, what? Because Wilmart is in the middle of nowhere on your way to Playa Grande. And the guy who owns Wilmart, it's not called Wilmart anymore. It's called The Store because he's been embroiled in litigation for years with Walmart, and they finally managed to tell him he had to let go of the name because he called it Wilmart, and his font was the same, his colors were the same, everything. And it was kind of a subtle FU to Walmart. I knew it was. I had talked to the guy who owns the place enough times to know it was like an up yours to Walmart. And they fought him until they finally got an injunction after a long, 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 long time. So anyway, I love this guy. He has such a business mind. He's always thinking about stuff to do. For a while, he had a brewery on site. Then COVID happened. That kind of threw that out the works. Now he's got a bar and a restaurant off to the side, and he's got live music. And we've been there for the live music. And I usually stop at this place every time I'm on my way to Playa Grande because I usually need a bottle of water and a bottle of something with caffeine in it so that I can do my beach walk and just kind of shoot the breeze, see what's going on. So this was kind of shocking. So that's two incidents of gun violence in a very short period of time, just a couple days. in a place where guns are almost impossible to get. We were just shocked. We don't know anything more because that's what's so funny about living in a tourist spot. Everything is so incredibly hush hush. My understanding is the restaurant was actually editing off when people were saying, "What about the shooting?" So the only way I found out about one of the shootings was a Tamarindo S posting site where everybody goes and says, "Hey, what's the deal? Why is this happening? Why are tourists doing this? Why are they stepping in the street? Did you hear a tourist got it?" And yeah, it was there, video, and it was awful, awful, awful. And Costa Rica is talking about legalizing marijuana, which I think they should do. They already passed the law saying that they're going to have edibles here, medical marijuana, but they really need to take it a step further because it's blatant, it's everywhere. If they did that and crack down on the cokeheads, it might actually do some good. In fact, I laughed this afternoon. I had a couple of funny things happen at the beach. I had a couple of gringo tourists that mistook me for a local and walked up and started speaking pidgin Spanish to me. That was kind of funny. I was like, I speak English. I'm not a Costa Rican. And the other funny thing was I'm having senior moments here. The other funny thing had to do with and I just was thinking about it. I can't believe I let go of it that quick already. Oh, stoners. Um, we're getting ready to go. We're picking up our chairs and things and going off. And this big turismo bus of tourists pulled up and hopping out with their things, their dogs, their various things. And I'm watching them bring liquor and dogs and things that are forbidden in the national park there. They're all this stuff. Well, I'm saying, I'm planning on sitting here getting stoned. And I'm like, it's illegal here. I would be more discreet than just shouting out that I'm going to get stoned in the middle of everything. So there's that. Hey, Grace Peter, I saw you earlier. I was so wound up in my stupid uh, Tico story about all the crazy stuff that is happening here. I'm hoping that these are isolated incidents, but unfortunately, I hate to say it, I think it is probably a looming drug problem. Costa Rica is a funny place. It's extremely, um, thank you. It's extremely laid back. The Ticos don't want any trouble. And as a result, they aren't super truthful about the levels of crime here. Mostly it's just petty crime, like people taking your umbrella out of the car. I've lost an umbrella and a sweater out of the car. And somebody went through my bag of drugs for my asthma and took a couple things, but that's the most. So I don't know what this world is coming to. I don't know about you guys, but here we have this one woman that has been a one-man band and creating drama everywhere she goes. She's currently in support of Dre McRae, which kind of blows my mind. I haven't read a lot about that yet, Angela. I've done a little bit. I'm waiting to see what the DNA says. If the DNA proves it's her, then I wouldn't be surprised because there was never any hint of that little girl anywhere. And if it is her, then the media owes the parents a huge, huge apology because they seem to think that the parents did it. Just like with Jean-Benet Ramsey, so many people were convinced the parents did it. I never thought it was the parents, but I thought it might have been Fleet White, their neighbor down the street. It was, I think, either the boss or somebody who also had a company. I always felt like that may have been it because they had just come from their house. She said so many nasty things about Dre. Yeah, that's what's so funny about her backing Dre now. Makes me wonder um, what kind of cease and desist came down that changed that tune. I don't know. Maybe it's just Grace, yeah, I'm thinking it might be too. Yeah, I don't think her parents did it. And I read a book by her father. He was talking about his faith and how his faith helped him get through that time and all the stuff he had to do to rebuild his life after that horrible, horrible thing. And it's unbelievable. I mean, the grand jury did not vote to arrest the parents. That alone should tell you something. I understand there were like 500 pieces of evidence that cleared the parents that came out that they were trying to suppress. Do you think 7M will possibly win? No one seems to make anything stick. Grace, I think it's the biggest possibility for winning is going to be with 7M. Everybody else backed off. I was really shocked that he had his own legal problems he was dealing with. So I could kind of see how you would just swat away the pesky mosquito so you could defend yourself against the Japanese hornet, the big thing. Um, I think that 7M has the most realistic chance of winning. They can certainly prove that she intentionally committed tortious interference with their business. I think the Duggars could too. I think that they could probably show that she had that kind of a negative effect on them. You really have to consider when you're talking about people online, even people with reality TV shows, that they're actually human beings. They're other people and they have all the same emotions, struggles, triumphs that you yourself may have. And it's an important thing to remember because if you don't remember that, it's too easy to other somebody, to other them. But if you look at the humanity of them, I mean, even to this day, as much as I dislike what she's doing, I'm going to say this, I pray that she has a change of heart and that she starts flying right. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to dictate what flying right looks like to everybody, but I think you guys can pretty much figure out what I'm talking about as far as all that goes. Don't lie. Just talk about things as you know instead of saying, exclusive sources say, hey, yeah, I saw this article on Soap Opera Digest or whatever that says X, Y, and Z. What do you think? I think that's a whole better strategy than coming out with all this crap and then embroidering on top of it like you're the world's best source of this material because it's just not going to ever be a successful strategy. Now, I got to say that this goes back to Ronald Reagan. During the Reagan years, he actually passed some laws that took away from media the responsibility to be truthful, that allows infotainment. Okay. And I see a lot of that. I'm not going to mention who it is, but my husband just loves, and I'm watching the clock now because he's going to be coming here in a few minutes wanting to watch this person. A certain political, I don't want to call him journalist because he's not a journalist. He has worked as a journalist, but what he does now is just fuel the outrage machine. And that happens on both sides. That happens and networks on both sides. They gin up this outrage machine and they do all this crap. I quit listening to her when she called out the Duggar kids for being gay and she has any idea what could do to their lives. Caleb, that is a good reason to quit watching her because that is a culture that thinks that gay people are demonic and you don't know what kind of consequence that could have. That's why I'm still kicking myself that I shared with her the rumors that had been going through the Duggar boards for years about who was and wasn't gay because she put that stuff on blast and pretending she got it from some exclusive source when it actually came me telling her what I'd seen. Yeah, that's not cool. It's not cool to talk about kids that are, below the age of 18 who have not had the opportunity to say whether or not they really want to be on TV or the media or anything else. No. Angela, Don Lemon, or as Tucker Carlson calls him, Don Lemon. Um, I used to like him. I'm going to say that. I used to like him at first. He's from Baker, Louisiana. I spent a chunk of my growing up years in Baker, Louisiana. So I liked him for a long time. And then I read his book about race relations, and I was just reading this like, because it's just a whole lot of evil white people instead of this is how we can fix this in our community, which is what I think needs to happen. We need to talk about that crap, not this happened and that happened. And I was pretty disgusted with him once I realized that he was talking about being a child of Baker and how he went here and he went there. And let me tell you something about him. When I was struggling, working 2 or 3 jobs to pay my tuition at LSU, he was partying up as a frat boy. He was 6 years behind me, but it took me some time to get myself together, and I was working and going to school at the same time. So there were undoubtedly times when our paths might have crossed at LSU. So his entire life, he went to private schools. He went to LSU. It's part of a frat. He lived the kind of rarefied life that almost no Black people in Baker, Louisiana ever do. It's a very poor area. There's a lot of, I don't want to say ghetto areas, but there are a lot of areas that aren't good. Scotlandville bumps right up against it, which is not a good area to be in Baton Rouge. I remember when I was in high school, they opened a magnet school in Scotlandville. They were trying to get some of us to go there. And I was afraid. I was afraid to go to Scotlandville to take, advanced chemistry because it was just in such a rough part of town. So Don Lemon, put his foot in his mouth. I think he struggled at CNN. I've seen some evidence of that. The people just running their mouths about behind the scenes. Oh, that would be awesome. That's awesome, Angela. And so you and I both know women are not all used up past 50. He's wrong about that. And it burns me up whenever I hear a man say that because, when you're a woman and your hair is getting gray and you're getting a few wrinkles and your neck is sort of doing its thing and you're looking down going, where did my boobs go? And some man the same age as you is like, oh, he's so distinguished and handsome looking, but you're an old crone. No. We need to stop that stupid double standard. And we need to stop declaring people of a certain age beyond whatever. I mean, as long as you're not, there's a point comes where your reproductive system is not going to function. But that's about it. That's about the only thing I can think of with women that means that you're beyond something. Future is wide open, baby. I don't accept those kind of limits. So I was kind of offended too by what he'd said. And of course, the conservative pundits, they jumped on it and are pretty much crucifying him for it when they themselves hold the same views. If a woman said that about him, he would be really mad. Oh, yeah, I'm sure he would be screaming from the highest post. His time in this new CNN show has not done well. He has had more than one run-in with the 2 ladies that he's co-hosting it with. I understand he's going to have to undergo some kind of retraining about women sensitivity training, and I think that's actually kind of funny that he's going to have to undergo that. I did like him once upon a time, can't stand him now. All it took was him being all preachy and hateful without having any kind of clue about what a good solution might be, or even a start to reach out and hold hands. And it's funny because he's definitely, being part African American, he knows what it feels like to be treated as less than, to be othered. He knows that firsthand. And I can tell you, the part of South Louisiana I'm from, that would have been going down. I don't care what kind of private schools he went to. So he would have been feeling that. And I think that's why I originally felt bad for him, knowing where he was from. And being gay and black, there's nothing wrong with that. But like you're saying, Angela, you makes you wonder about what his view of women is like. I have always loved my gay male friends. They've been the best thing ever. The ones that I've been really close with through the years. So I hate to see him, muddying up the waters with some of the things he's saying and doing, but what do I know? Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm losing my voice. I've been struggling with my asthma, something fierce, since Saturday when we lost power. And I started having all kinds of problems with my asthma, and I couldn't use my neb. I had to go out to the car and use my car neb, which is not as effective. I got over that, and then dog exposure at Price Mart again. It is what it is. So I need to get off of here, but I just want to come on here and encourage you. If she starts saying all this silly crap about worked with her on this or that, take it with a boulder of salt, not a grain. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.